High heels on my tippies.
So, create a part of this on my city scam. Make vitamins when I ride the jiggy. I still got the juice, bitch, buy a sippy. I will never slip me like a Vicky.
Stay in your sorry lane, bitch.
I am not a gay.
I know that these bitches try to be legit.
I am such a cash bitch, throw on your mini.
Wow,
Don't wanna play with me. Rock a power red, get it cause the sky is the limit.
come on, I saw you buy and your girl was one payment.
8 + 8 must be crazy.
Give me my tits.
Give me my chance. Give me my chance.
Then take away so I want.
Roof, bitch, give me my chance. Give me my chance. Bitch, give me my chance. Then take away too. I hit it up again.
Hey everybody, welcome to Corpse Talk. We'll be starting here in about 12 minutes. I have an amazing guest on tonight, but before we get into that, let's take a look at some of our previous guests and what they're working on.
For virtualized manifestations of the table. But this great game of the mind has always taken place in our collective imaginations. Welcome to Alchemy RPG. Create interactive scenes and experience gameplay in an intuitive storytelling environment, meticulously designed to amplify cinematic immersion within the theater of the mind. Craft your worlds beyond words. Immerse yourself and your players in your creations with lore-rich articles. Fully mechanized NPCs and pre-made player characters. Effortlessly stream your tales directly from Alchemy, while onlookers cheer for your heroes on perilous paths of adventure. Discover a universe of immersive story worlds like never before, with unforgettable adventures ready to be had at the touch of a button. Breathe new life into your stories by harnessing the power of the Alchemy platform. A window into any world.
What is up, everybody? We're going to be starting here in just a few seconds. Get your beer, get your popcorn, because it's Corpse Talk. What is up, everybody? We are back with a Corpse Talk. I know it has been a long time. Look, holidays are a bitch, and getting people together around the holidays that aren't your family is really difficult. But we're back. We did a prep show yesterday. We did a prep show in December. And we're back with someone I have to say is pretty inspiring for me. As a creative to another creative, this man does art, web design, game design, creates monsters out of wireframes and foil, and has one of the dopest looking booths at every con. So without anything else, let's get into this. I'm gonna bring Brian on so that we can talk a little bit about him, his projects, what he does, and of course, touch on Molt and the beloved neon horror that is Vascarin. All right, let's see how Brian is doing. Buddy, I don't think we've got to talk in person before.
No, not much. I mean, it's always been like in passing at conventions, just
Yes.
for like a minute or two or three, and that's really about it. But like getting to know you a little bit before the show, and I'm sure throughout the course of the show, I'm sure we will be thick as thieves by the end of it.
We'll see if we still get along by the end. Yeah, that's usually what I tell everybody who's on the show. So we got a lot to talk about. You have been in the scene for a while. You have worked in tabletop forever, but this isn't the Marvel tour. I'm not going to ask you all the same questions you find everywhere. Like, how did you start? Like, I promise none of that.
You can ask me whatever you want. I'm fine. I'm an open book.
You say that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start asking some odd questions then.
That's cool. I'm an odd guy.
For the way this plays out, we've done Corpse Talk a few times, and you have seen a few episodes, but it's pretty simple. We're going to ask a question, start it off that way, get you warmed up, and then we're going to dive into the table created by myself and the fans of the show, all the creeps that are here, and we are going to try to murder your character, the Headless Knight.
Of course.
So Chris from Alchemy was kind enough to leave you behind Rob Schwab's severed head. That's the item that got passed on.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, Chris is a great guy. He also left you in combat.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, right in the middle of, right in the thick of it. But let's start with questions. I think that's kind of the best way to start these shows, since it's an interview show, disguised interview show, somewhat. So you have been on a roll for the last couple of years. You have been making Kickstarter after Kickstarter after Kickstarter, and one of them I have in my hand, which is Vascarin.
Yes.
Molt isn't out yet. How the hell are you getting all this done with you and like a two-man team? Like, is there a special group of like undead you summon to like do all the work for you?
I have this horrible mechanical device that wakes me up every morning at 5:30.
You're a 5:30 guy?
I'm a 5:30. I get so much done like in the first 2 hours I'm awake before I wake up my kids, before we have breakfast, and then I get back to it. So like I do my own projects before I even start the work day at 9 a.m. So I hustle around the clock, and I also, because I've been doing design and stuff for so many years.
Yeah.
A lot of it goes faster for me because I just don't think about it. It's like muscle memory.
Well, if you're waking up at 5:30 in the morning doing your own projects, do you think that is the whole concept of being married, having kids? If you weren't married with kids, would your time still be 5:30 in the morning?
I would probably have 5 more books out right now. That's just like, so like my biggest fear in life is not leaving behind enough of my weird shit that I want to get out. So you
That's
never
fair.
know when you're going to die.
That's fair.
I'm 47.
Yeah.
You never know when it's going to go. And
I'm not
so,
far behind you, man.
yeah, so I just got to keep making the stuff that and hopefully it'll inspire somebody else like I was inspired when I was in middle school playing RPGs.
Yeah, so 5:30 in the morning is early. Like, the only time I used to do 5:30 in the morning was getting up for the gym when I still had a bodyguard and a stripper. That was the only 2 times, because I had to work out in the morning when no one was there. But 5:30 is early, man. My brain creatively doesn't function at those hours unless I've stayed up all night. Is part of this getting it all done? Is there a process that you sit down and do every day to start the creative juices? Or do you just wake up and, like my girl, will immediately hold a full conversation? I need coffee. Like, do you immediately get creative when you get up? Or
like I tap the vein with coffee. I mean, that's like I'm drinking leftover coffee from the day before.
I do that
First thing before I even make a new fresh hot pot of coffee.
I do that
It's
too.
like,
Ice, throw it in a glass.
And the biggest thing that's helped me is writing down a to-do list at least the day before of what I'm starting out with, so I don't have to think about what I'm starting with. I'm just diving in. That's
Yeah. I have a dry erase for that reason. Like, there's a list here, and I have 2 things left for after the show. They're all Corpse Talk related. The list before I go to bed is huge. Also, it somewhat helps to empty my brain so that I can go to sleep, because that's my biggest problem.
Yeah,
I lay down and
exactly.
my brain's like, we're not done today.
right. Yeah, there's so much more that still needs to be decided.
Yes, there's so much more. Yeah, no, it doesn't work. Well, I thought for sure you're going to say all your kids did your work for you, and that all the art was actually created by the kids.
No, but there have been a couple of my projects that they've helped with. We released an RPG called Over the Troll Bridge that they helped co-write and co-create, and they've helped my Mork Borg adventure, Crawling Death. They helped come up with some of the room content as I was going through. Okay, we need a faction. We need what do you think should be in this room? And they kind of helped with some of that stuff.
Are they in the 5 to 10 or 10 to 20 range?
I've got 10 and 14 right now.
Okay.
So and my son helped work PAX Unplugged. He manned my whole creature curation booth all by himself the entire show.
Did you have 2 booths?
I had the Vaskrim booth, which was Infinite Black's booth.
Sure.
And I had my creature curation booth right next door.
Gotcha.
So,
well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we're gonna dig into this. You've seen the show, you know the rules, but for the audience, I'll say them again. It's pretty simple. You get 1 move and 1 action. A move is a room. If there are creatures in the room, you will have to roll against them to get out. We are using physical dice. You said you got some special physical dice you're going to be using today?
ooh, I got some of the new Infinite Black 1-Up dice. I've got Poison Dagger. They're
here.
super
Let me blow this
sparkly
up for
green.
you. Show them the case.
Oh, hang on. Let me close it up. It comes in a retro, radical,
It looks like an
NES
NES
looking cartridge.
case. Yeah.
and it pops open. It's got magnets, and it's got a dice roller on one side, got all the dices in the other.
Does it have the plastic sleeve that it goes in?
The slip cases we made ones that could hold 3 that kind of look like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then a super mega one that I think holds 10 or 12.
That's awesome. I totally missed that one too from Infinite Black. We'll get into Infinite Black and the amount of shit you guys just put out. Like, you pump out product. Like, pump out things to pick up and buy. Like, it's insane.
People like the math rocks.
It's not even the math. Well, anyway, we got some killing to do.
Yeah, we do.
I got some
Hopefully
killing
not
to
me.
do. It is going to be you. It is going to be you.
Of course, that's fine. I always roll shit.
So we're using Alchemy today, obviously one of the sponsors for the show. Chris was on last. This is the get up, the setup, and this is what it looks like. So everybody, it's pretty simple. We designed a crazy amount of dungeons. We don't have 1, we have 3. We made it through the first one. I'll put this on screen really quick for everybody so you can see it. We've made it through the first one. These 2 maps are from Amalith. She may be in the audience. She's in Australia, so her time zones are whack. And we've made through 2 of them. Mostly because Danny decided that running was the best way to do this. Best way. Run through everything, okay? So these are all the ones we made it through. Now, with that said, we're into the new one, provided by Danny, which was the Mad Rats. We've rebuilt this into our own version of the dungeon. On screen, you all can see the stuff that he can't see. He can only see
very
part
little
of it. Yes, you see very little. The area that is lit is the path that Chris took coming through here. And I will remind you only that the start of it had a bunch of rats that called for other rats out of the walls, that he offered up a single baby shoe to what he believes to be the mother of this dungeon, which is the Iron Claw over here. Or not Iron Claw, Rib Claw. He made it through the door by picking the lock magically because I don't know how the hell he did it. He's horrible at it. And then he left you in room 6. Now, let me give you a little description of this dungeon. The place is humid. It is got a smell of wax clinging to the fog that rolls through the dungeon. The fog is constantly about waist high, and it even has buildup of wax particles on your armor over time. The Headless Knight is a surviving knight during the time that this place was created. His head was stolen from him, and he is on a mission to find his head, which is containing the voice of creation. Without it, everything is turning into this aberrational, twisted version of what the world was before. He believes his head is being used wrongly. Right now, you have the head of Rob Schwab talking about horrible head. You can take that phrase however you want. And we are in the front of a creature that has just shown up. I'm going to read you the description for it. You can see that there are tunnels heading north, or halls heading north. That one looks man-made. And then northwest, the one that's coming out, looks a little rougher, like it has been carved out. I will show this to the audience. The Fog brand is the one in front of you. It's an old and deranged set of armor. It's got lifelike melted wax inside of it and on coming out of it. It's more haunting than anything. And you hear whispers of it asking for sweet release. Now, I will warn you that this is a pretty powerful creature. There has been a total of like 20-something cards spent to build this thing.
Wow.
So, what would you like to do in this room with the fog band in front of you? It is kind of not even staring at you. It's staring down the hall to the north.
Staring down to the man-made hall?
This one here to the north.
Yeah.
The man-made is the northwest.
Yeah.
I'm
going to hold my head towards it, so I'm looking at it, and I'm telling... No, that's wrong. That's incorrect. I'm going to hold my head towards the northwest corridor and start moving that way while trying to swing my flailing whip behind me as I'm running away, because something does not sound right about this thing, and I'm not ready to die yet. I must find my head.
So you are going to try your best to outrun this thing, or are you going to attack it, or just run by?
No, I'm just going to try and run to the northwest.
And just get northwest. Past it. Okay, well, if we're going to do this, you're going to be making a roll. The task level, because there's a monster in the room, is equal to the creature's task level, the difficulty level, and we are looking at, I believe he is a 13. He is a 13 when moving by.
Okay.
And then you, obviously, for those who haven't seen Decapitus yet, I will show him off as well. You'd be using your agility, which sucks.
Which is -2. Awesome.
You may be getting hit on this one, but you do have good armor.
Yeah, but I got my mod, I got a 3. Because I rolled a 5, and I got my -2. So, yeah, I...
Don't make it?
No, definitely don't make it.
As you go to run by, it reaches inside of its chest cavity and pulls out this brand as like some of the wax melts out of him and swings at you in retaliation. Can I please have you give me your agility check to the dodge? Notice you do have good armor on Decapitus.
Excellent. Let's see. How do I pop that open? Here we go. No? Heavy
Click him
armor?
and click view.
Oh, view. Thank you. Sorry, I have not used this enough. Okay,
and then
so
that's your character. You can either go look through it, or on the left-hand side, I think it has your gear.
Yeah. Okay, no, I got, even with my agility modifier, I got a 5.
All right, audience, if you want to roll damage for this, while we start our next question, we will come back and damage him. The Fog brand, just for people to know, he's pretty dangerous. As he swings at you, his face starts to morph into a version of Rob Schwab's head in the fog. Inside of like the wax and fog. And he starts billowing the fog around him and sucking it up to what you believe to be like a hollow cavity inside the wax. When he swings with the brand, he doesn't swing at you. He swings by you and stabs himself, letting out this hot, steam-like scream, mimicking Rob Schwab. that's bad for you.
Yes,
Because that does
sounds
a
very
lot
bad
of
for me.
damage.
Yes.
Damage for him, it is 2d6 for this. Because he
Excellent.
tried to escape. He's rolling. No, I'm going to let the audience roll as we go into the
Awesome.
next question. Audience,
Excellent.
give me 2d6 in chat. I will take the first one that happens. And then we'll go back to a little chat. So you've done a lot of stuff, not only creating. Small press publishing is harder than most people understand. And I think that it is constantly thought to be an easy process. But I feel like small company publishing and creating is actually harder. Everyone's wearing 5 to 10 hats from my times in startups. And you're with Infinite Black, and you also have your own company that you're doing. How are you balancing doing a small company job but making it look so damn good? Like, is there something you would share with people on how to run a small company successfully for this industry?
The best thing what I did and what's helped me is that I worked prior to getting into this industry. I had my own design shop.
Okay.
I had a print design company. At one point, I had up to 13 people on my team. I learned through mistakes for my clients. Like over years and years, like I learned the printing process. You know, I learned packaging. I learned how to present things to customers while working for restaurants, retirement homes, like all sorts of other clients. And I use that knowledge of the things that I did not enjoy and funnel it into what I love. And that's what's made it so easy. And also, like, you know, through the process of trial and error and having to learn how to manufacture things, I now have great ways to make relationships with international manufacturers, and just that process is something that if you stick with it long enough, you'll learn all the things, you'll learn from mistakes and learn how to do things better each time.
Do you think that is the print aspect and finding people to print through the hardest part of that process? Like, is that the big hard deal? Like, it seems to me finding printing is almost always overseas. Like, you're not finding a lot of printers in here. Some in Canada, there's one in Michigan, but short of going to textbook printers for good quality but way high price, there's not a lot of printing in the US. So how do you handle that international relationship? Is it at conventions that you're meeting them?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that's one of the one of the best ways. I mean, now a lot of these printers have booths at, like, there were multiple Chinese printers that were at, like, PAX Unplugged that just had booth space. You meet them at Gamma, you meet them through friends that you make. Like, the best thing I ever did was start going to conventions and networking after show hours, because all the relationships you make from that, it may not be something right away, but they're relationships that you build on, and you can then be like, hey, Eric, who do you think I should use for this? Do you have any resources? And that's, you know, you make friends, and friends help friends out.
And that's 100% true. And bring a cooler of beer. It goes a long way.
Totally.
Chris and I talked about that last time. Like, if you bring alcohol and let people come to you, it's a lot easier to kind of meet everyone. Because, as you know, PAX, Gen Con, all of those bigger conventions, it's a bitch to get to everyone to talk to them. You just feel like you're running around the entire time. But if you make them come to you because you have alcohol, that's just my tip to all of you if you want to do your own business, even if you don't drink.
I mean, I had a giant bottle of bourbon at Gen Con last year because it was Luke from Pirate Borg's 40th birthday.
His birthday,
and so I just had that, and, like, everybody was just, you know, taking cups and cups.
And that's the thing. It reminds me of the circus a little bit, like your family.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Vin
we're
Diesel
weird
family,
carnies.
but, you know, your family.
Yeah.
Life, a little bit of the carny life. That's real true. So you're saying own a business before you own a business is your answer to that question, though?
That's how I did it, and that's how I learned.
Working for somebody else on their dime is another way I would say to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like working for a print company, if you're going to do prints, great. There's lots of print shops that always need someone to screen print shirts.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, learning how to screen print shirts teaches you so much, and then learning how to fight with a printer, a paper printer every day of your life, because they are living machines. It's where Terminator starts, and printers
and
are
feelings,
and they're the bane of my fucking existence.
Yep.
Printers are the worst, especially the ones with the ink bottles up on the shelves. Granted, they run every day, they don't clog as much, but when the print head goes bad, you're gonna be a mess when you go home.
It goes real bad.
It goes real bad. That's I think we've had some same. Did we date the same printer?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, I thought so. So it looks like you're getting out of this pretty easy as we go back into the game. It looks like they only rolled 6 damage. So
Only 6?
Only 6. So you have pretty good armor on him. I believe you have D6 armor.
Yes. So let me see what I can soak.
Let's see how much you soak.
I soaked 5.
So you take 1 fucking point of damage.
And I started with 9, right? That's a lot for Mork Borg.
It is. Well, you're by yourself though, so we had to give him a little bit more.
Sure.
A little bit
Beefing me
more.
up.
We couldn't let him just die because, you know, we wanted to. So with that, he swings at you as you try to move by. You don't get out of the room. We go into your next turn. What would you like to do?
Well, seeing that I'm not going to be able to escape easily, I'm going to try and lash back at him with the spinal whip.
All right. So you're attacking with a whip. Give me a roll.
Yes. Okay. Hang on, let me check my abilities, because that's going to be a strength modifier, which is at least better. And I rolled a 2, so I got a 4. I don't know if I told you this, Eric, but I always roll terrible.
Apparently, we're going to get a lot of deaths today, is what I'm hearing. Is that what I'm hearing? Everybody,
Yeah,
we're here to kill Brian's character. I got yelled at for saying kill Brian. Listen, guys. Listen, everybody. They're not the same person. It's fictional characters. Anyway,
I'm just a character.
You're just a character in life and there. So, unfortunately, it's 1 point of damage to you. He is going to strike back. He can't do his scream again because he's already used it. Instead, he's going to strike you with his iron brand. Please give me your roll to dodge this as he hops back with the tip still lit. Swings, strikes again. Audience, I need a D8 damage for this. A D8, D8 damage. Yeah. It's a lot of damage for this creature. Yep. And we're going to go into our next question, and hopefully we can take him down at least once during this, because he's rolling like hot garbage.
I just switched D20s, so maybe I'll do better. I don't know.
Chuck one of those across the screen, my friend. Yeah, just throw it. No one needs it. No one needs it. So the next question's pretty fun for me. We met, I think, at, gosh, was it GaryCon?
Maybe. I've only been to GaryCon once.
I think I met you at DragonCon.
Okay, yeah. Maybe, yeah.
And you had these lovely, like, little squishy stress balls of one of my favorite characters of all time.
I can't legally say the name that you want to say.
I sure can. It's a beholder. And an eye tyrant, a squishy eye tyrant. And these things are outstanding. And you even were nice enough to find me one of the rare gradients. So my question to you is, I'm assuming you still make these kind of things. How the fuck do you go about making them?
So, I had the idea, because I did those a few years ago. My kids were younger. My daughter was super into blind bag squishies.
Okay.
And so I was like, why not make blind bag squishies of the nerdy shit I like?
Yes.
So I drew it up. Like, I already had one of those in Illustrator in like a vector form. So looked for like a 3D, somebody that could sculpt it in 3D, because that's not, my sculpting is all physical sculpting as opposed to digital sculpting.
Okay.
So the manufacturer that did that first wave, Series 1, actually did the sculpting for that and presented it. And then I just sent over, like, these are the Pantone colors I want. Then I did the packaging, the case packaging.
Yeah, they're little cube boxes that they're in. Did these do well for you? Because they're fucking awesome. They're such a great, like, I'm leaving, let's grab one to go.
They do. They're good at shows. They did really well when they first got into distribution, especially Series 2 also has mimics and gelatinous cubes.
Are you serious? Gelatinous cubes?
Yes, I've got a green one. I've got there was a black ooze one. There was a strawberry version that was like pink and purple. So like those Series 2 did even better because I had more money and I did a Kickstarter for that, and I could then afford more molds because I just couldn't afford it the first time around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they injection molded? Is it foam just sprayed in that's painted afterwards?
So like, it's like they paint them afterwards. It's they do a metal mold, and then they inject the foam in the squishy foam stuff, and then they just paint them all up.
Huh.
They do the base coats, and then they do the secondary.
Is it? Did you just give them like color charts for it, and then they just did it from there?
Yep, I did specific Pantone colors that I wanted, because that's all the stuff I know.
I need one of Little Ghost. Those are super cool. Thanks. That is, I'll be honest, this was like the most memorable version of a business card, even though it wasn't. I mean, I picked it up, but there's something about this that I had with me the whole show, and I had tied something around its eye so it could just hang.
Yep.
And it was just with me, and it was just cute and kind of fun. Are you going to make some of the worms from Vastgrim?
So I have ideas in my head to do worms as plush, because I've also done a plush line as well.
Okay.
I don't know about the squishy line. I'm just kind of, that's...
I feel like if it was thin and coiled in it, like maybe like, remember the old ones that had the wire in them?
Uh-huh.
So you could form them? That is what I was thinking. I was like, dude, because Vastgrim, which is what we're going to get into, this is wild. I don't know what acid trip you were on for this, but this is some like straight up sci-fi horror. Like
a whole lot of weird, goofy shit.
Just weird horror, like 80s perfect sci-fi. But before we do that, we got to see how much damage they did with the D8 here. We got 7.
Ooh, and I do get to soak some of that with my armor, correct?
You can pretend.
I can pretend to soak 1, so I take 6. So I'm down to a measly 2 hit points.
2 hit points, everybody. You heard that here. We got him down to 2. 2 hit points.
Somebody's gonna die soon.
If you got mashed on this one, this will be the second death for this character if he gets one, everyone. Second death for him.
He's only had 2 for
yeah, he killed Chris last, and this is the second time he's got to fight someone, so he's going to be 2-0.
Yeah.
So with that said, he stabs into you again and pulls it back as fire comes out of this stone armor you have as he ignites it, doing the extra damage inside of you. Rob's head screams in profanities. What would you like to do next in room 6? Are you going to bail from here? Because you can't hit anything.
Well, if I bail, is he going to get that attack to just freely attack me?
Why would I tell you that? It's Mork Borg.
Okay, instead I'm going to grab the blasphemous head and use that to scream at him.
All right, now that's a presence check. That's a 12
okay,
presence.
I'm sure I'll screw that one
you
up,
might get it. You might get it. You can always take a critical question for an omen.
Let's see. Do I have a... But I can do that after the fact, right? I don't have to do that.
Yes, you can do that after the fact, yes.
I got a 19 with my mod. It's an 18, so I actually passed one.
You passed one. Give me your damage. Our first damage on this beautiful, beautiful monster. Let's see what you get. Audience, he's got a D4 armor. Roll me a D4 to see how much he soaks.
I see the ranged weapon. I see the quantity. Okay,
it's in the description. I think it's 2d6 for him.
Yep.
Up to 3 targets. That's why everyone's carrying the head.
7. That's
7's pretty good. 7's pretty good. It's not,
I'll take that.
Horrible. I don't think you're going to kill me, but we'll see. He's only got 6 hit points, okay?
Yep.
6 hit points.
Which is, 3 times as many as I do.
We got our D4 coming in. 4 points. I only take 2. Not good for you.
No, definitely not.
Not good for you. On my turn, I'm going to use his other ability. I am going to... do I want to use it? I'm going to use my Frightful Sight. He shifts his face into Rob Schwab and shifts the wax that's inside of him into this horrific creature causing fright. I need a presence defense roll from you. Looking at only a 10, though.
Only a
On
10?
failure, Rob's head becomes blind and scared.
Oh, no. I got a 14, so...
You're not blind and scared. Rob has seen worse, created worse. Honestly, it is worse. Rob is definitely worse than this creature. So he tries to scare you. It does not work. That brings us back to the fun part of this. Vastgrim.
Yes.
Nightmare Fuel. How did this come into fruition for you as a setting book? Like as an actual full-fledged setting? And I'll flip through some pages while you're talking for everybody.
Sure.
I'll go right to the best page, too.
Yes, the Astro Zombies. So my friend Ross, who co-wrote it with me, and he did like a chunk of the layout as well, and co-created it. He ran Vastgrim for my Atlanta people.
Oh, okay.
And the first time I played that, like it was still it was pandemic-ish time, and I hadn't sculpted anything. And then the Warhound that's in that book, I went home and after like cracking open the Mork Borg actual printed book, I was like, I need to sculpt something that's different than my other sculptures. Because all my other sculptures are kind of more colorful, a little more high fantasy, a little more whimsical.
I mean, this is pretty colorful, my friend. Like, this book is bright as hell.
Yes, but that creature was I just used black and white and blue. And that's all I used in that initial creature. And when I did that, I was like, hey, Ross, you want to make a sci-fi hack of the game? They've got an open license. And he was like, sure. And so we started working on it.
So, like, they even have the ships in the back. So
have you seen the other books?
I only have this one.
I'll have to send you the other 3.
So what made you, like, was he just doing this as a fun own hack of Mork Borg? Was he running it under a different system originally? Like, how
no,
did...
he
how did that
ran
come-
Mork Borg.
Oh, he ran Mork Borg.
Yeah.
I see.
And it's like, so there have been 2 times in my life in the gaming industry where my brain, like, clicked, right? Something changed.
This is one of them?
Well, yeah, one was Book of Nod, when I
Okay,
was in high
yes.
school, and it was the vampire book, and I was like, wait, an in-universe book? And
They just
like,
reprinted it.
Yeah, and that was the first time I had seen something like that. And then Mork Borg, when I cracked it open, and I was like, wait, text doesn't have to be 2 columns of so much text, and something clicked, and I was like, so I started coming up with the ideas, and I was like, hey, Ross, here's this, what do you think of this? And then, like, I was already doing stuff. You know, I've already been in the industry, and every time I do stuff, I try to bring other friends in to see if they'll jump in and see if they, you know, if they have the tenacity to stick with it and be a part of things, you know?
It's a totally different system, totally different game. Like, and I mean the industry as a game. Like,
Right.
the amount of, and we have like, one of the creators from, so the owner of Storm Bunny Studios is in there, and he's been doing this as long, if not longer. And it is like a real, not only passion project, but it is more work than people realize.
Right.
And it never turns off. If you are a person made for it,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think
not
the
work.
bug ever turns off.
No.
You just, well, lack of sleep is what happens, but it just never turns off. But like the setting itself for this, what's your inspiration? Like, was there an inspiration for Vastgrim? Like, did you watch a movie? Did you watch Ice Pirates and go, what if they were worms? Like,
No, like, I had already, like, I'd been playing so much fantasy, I was just ready to mix it up and change things. And I was like, I haven't played sci-fi in a while. I want to play sci-fi. So, and I don't play very often. I tend to run all the games that I
run
play in.
everything, yeah.
So I was like, I want to run something weird, and like, I want it to be gross because my humor is gross and goofy and funny, and I want this, like, out of all the projects that I've done so far, this one has my humor in it the most. This one that feels the most a part of who I am.
so a love letter from you to the audience, huh?
Right. Yeah, and I want other people like me playing with me.
So you spoke on the tail's end of this, you spoke about how good the Mork Borg license is. Them and Free League both have very good licenses right now. And Shadow Dark actually has really good licenses
Yeah,
right now.
totally.
But they're all very similar. I think they looked at each other's work and learned that there's ways to do this. Are you letting people make stuff for your setting as well? How are you handling that?
Yes, we have a third-party license. It's called the Vastgrim Horde. It's basically a clone of the Mork Borg one. Like, and because we're a Mork Borg hack, you have to have their license too. So we have a game jam going on right now that I should have told you about. That's a Vastgrim game jam running till April 1st. Along
Are you serious?
With the World Standard podcast. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Give me it afterwards. I'll put it in the show notes down below afterwards. That's
Awesome.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about that before we go back to murdering you.
Sure. It's completely open-ended. It's got to be, A5 page size. You can create anything that you want. At the end, it's going to be collected and put together into a zine that's print on demand through Drive-Thru RPG, with all of the proceeds going to charity. I think it may be Doctors Without Borders. I can't remember.
Cool.
It's
Something
in
that's
the
nice.
page. Right. Exactly. And then we're also doing a bunch of prizes. I've got a Vastgrim skate deck. I've got Vastgrim art print. I've got an affinity suite to one person, and for every 10 entries that we have after that, like once we hit 20, 30, and 40, I'm going to add another affinity suite because I want more people being able to create.
What's
and
the
make
affinity
things.
suite for those who might not know?
So if you're familiar with like Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, it's a company called Serif made a product to kind of rival them, where it doesn't have a monthly fee, there's a flat fee, and for the life of that version that's currently in version 2, you have free upgrades. So it's completely great design software that has all the tools a professional would need to create things for games or any sort of design work, and it will level up your experience if you're currently using other software to make zines or other things that you're making.
Huh. Okay, nice. That somebody needed to challenge Adobe and how they were doing stuff. So I'm pretty happy that happened. I have not used that program before. I've used a lot of other ones. I use Clip Studio a lot right now, thanks to my buddy's Todd, because it's vector over raster. But that's awesome. Well, with that said, it looks like they dealt. You dealt your damage. They sucked up 4. Looks like we're going back into this. It is your turn. You are doing okay now. You've actually successfully hit something. How would you like to proceed? You have not made it anywhere out of this room. You're going to be the one guy who gets stuck in a room?
No, I can't get stuck in a room. I'm heading northwest. I'm going.
You're running again. All right, give me that check again. I used my power. The difficulty goes down to an 11.
So I rolled a 1. Should I? Can I answer a real tough question and get?
Oh yeah, you want a crit question?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody, this is my favorite part of the show.
I know you're.
I'm not gonna
cry.
lie. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of my favorite parts of the show.
I like that the music stops, so it's like
I did. I 100%. I just stopped the music. You're 100% right. Okay, so we have a bunch of crit questions here. Roll me a d4, and I'm gonna give you one off the deck.
All right. Whoa, it's jumping. I got a 2.
Oh, well, 2's not the worst one. 3 is the worst one. 2 is pretty bad, though. Pretty bad. In the industry, who is the one person that you will never work with again? You don't have to answer it. If you don't answer it, you just get crit instead.
Right. I'm trying to think because, I've only worked with a small handful of people. Everything else has been, just relationships and being friends.
It's gotta be tabletop. It's gotta be someone you never want to work with again, no matter what. Like, if they're in a project, you would say, fuck that, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to burn anybody. I'm going to take it.
See, I'll let you take it, and then I'm going to tell you what I would have said. I would never work with Satine Phoenix. You should have just went with that.
That's fair. Yep, that's totally fair.
I mean, if you're going to be a martyr, let's throw them out as far as we can.
Right, yep.
All right, well, you're taking the crit instead. That audience, that means that we're doing our max damage. You take a whole 16 points of damage.
Well, I am way worse than broken.
How are you not able to stop this?
A negative with negative 14? No.
All right, that means it's our first death, everybody. That's one going in. We'll go to a vertical. Let's talk about the first product that's coming into this then. We'll pull the treasury up. So you are doing Vastgrim as your first thing you're giving out for the treasury that'll go in for the raffle at the end. That's the book that I have here, but there's a line of these books out now. It's not just this anymore.
Correct. There's 3 other hardcover books. There is Space Cruisers, which goes into, it's kind of like character building, but with spaceships, and then it also has space combat rules. We have Blood Altered, which is a bunch of interconnected adventures set on the planet where the Mausoleum of Day is, the mausoleum that was opened up where people first became infected by the worms.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got a Space Raiders book that is basically like new classes that are like space pirates and different factions, and then it's got a hex crawl adventure in the back of it.
Oh, nice. So, with that said, what you're telling me is you made a book that, as a small party, small publisher, that Wizards of the Coast couldn't do for Spelljammer. How kind of you.
Yes. I mean, so, like, those 3 other books, I was very inspired by, like, the OSE small adventure books, like the $20 hardcover books. I got those, and I'm like, damn, that's something I can drop money on. I can go home, and I can have a great book, and it's not... Yeah. I like hardcovers.
You read it on the shitter, and you don't have to throw it in your backpack? Yeah, I agree.
Right.
With that said, you died, and our question for you is going to be, on this map of where you can see, where would you like to put your Stoneheart so that you can come back to life? What room?
It's going to be in room number 10.
So 1 away.
Yes.
Now that means that you're going to get 2 questions only to get hit points back.
Oh, damn. Hang on.
It's about the time game. It's
let's do 12. Let's do 12.
Let's do 12. All right, we're going to do 12. So we're going to be 4 in total. 4 in total. Yep. All right, you get 4 questions. We're going to put them up. These are the same questions for this entire season. These are rapid fire. Your job is just to answer them, and I will tell you if you're right or wrong.
Okay.
Need or rocks?
Rocks.
You are correct, sir. That is 1 hit point. If you drink things neat, that means that you like stemware. You know what stemware is? A fucking mess.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of neat drinks. True or false? Oh, is this overrated? D&D.
For me, yes.
That is also correct, sir. We might be on the same thing.
Yeah.
Kale or spinach?
Spinach.
Neither. They both suck shit. You don't get anything.
That's a trick question. It's no fair.
Would you want to go to a party or a funeral?
Can a funeral be a party?
That is a correct answer.
Really?
Yes, it is.
I mean, it should be a celebration of somebody's life.
You're the only one to get that one right so far. You come back with 3 hit points. Now you get to see why people die so much in this, because unless you make it far, you don't get enough hit points back to make it.
Yep.
So that takes us back in. What would you like to do? You're trapped in front as your body starts to pull itself back together inside of the stone-covered armor that you have. The fog brand looks down at you and raises up the brand again, trying to keep you down. What do you want to do?
I want to try and slide out and get back to that, that
well,
stone to get, hit points back.
Difficulty value
I'll roll
11.
a 1 again,
You'll
right?
get an 11 eventually.
Nope, definitely not.
Jesus,
I rolled a 4.
Give me your dodge for the brand again. He's a 13.
Okay, should I change to a third D20?
I mean, at this point, you got to start rolling D100 to even have success.
I got a 14 that time.
All right, you do dodge. Which way do you want to go? North, or do you want to go northwest?
So if I go back to the Hearthstone, do I get all my hit points back?
No. The only way to get hit points back is through answering questions.
Okay, then I'm going northwest because that's where I've wanted to go all along.
So this way over here.
Yep.
All right. So when you get this way, you start to hear the sound of clinking jars, and something shuffling about. There is almost a smell of like burning hair in the room, and I'm going to unpaint this room for you so you can see everything. I do need an agility check as you're coming through. Difficulty is only a 10. Okay. Trying not to disturb the jars that are here.
Ooh, yes, I got a 17 total.
When you walk in, you do not disturb the jars. I will put the token on the map so you know that there is a slight environmental trap in the area. You do not disturb the jars walking through, so that means you did not alert the man in front of you. There's a person covered in robes, very like robed in blue armor with a skull inside, not too unfamiliar from yourself. But out of the top of his head is a burning wick, and he's lighting candles in mason jars. Behind him on a table is a single gold and red candle that is lit, and you can hear it singing some form of a hymn. And I will put that on the screen as well for you so you can see it.
Yeah. Since he has not noticed me, and the jars that are rattling, they are the mason jars.
Yeah, they're just all, they are all over the place.
When controlling the head that I have in my hand, will it do whatever I want it to do?
It can speak, it can look, but depending on the head, there may be penalties because of, he's a blasphemous speaker. He may not engage the way you want.
I'm going to take it over to the candle and hope that it will blow the candle out.
Oh, okay.
For blasphemy seems like a thing of blowing out someone else's.
It's a presence check. It's only a 10 to make it do talking instead of the 12 to do its power.
Ooh, I got an 11.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but blowing it out is the wrong thing to do. As the candle blows out, smoke forms, and it starts to billow more of that fog into the room. And I mean a lot of it. This red and gold candle in the center, and I will remind you, you have a aversion to gold.
Ooh.
So if you touch it, you can run into some problems. The blowing is a smart touch. The creature turns around as it starts to fill the room. He lights his own wick, and it is the only light in the area. When he does that, he pours the candle out onto the ground, this blue wax, and forms another person. So now in the room, there are 2 of them.
Great.
With that said, what would you like to do as you walk in the room? You get your action to blow out. What is going to be the next thing you do before we go to the next question?
Well, I'm going to whip the head up towards the 2 other ones since it can normally attack 3 different things. I would have it try and blow out both of their wicks.
So as you get ready to do that, I need the audience to roll me a d6 for the chance for the boss to show up. Normally it's a 6. The candle is blown out. That lowers it by 2. That's a 4, 5, and 6. And because one of the dripped ones are here, it is a 3, 4, 5, and 6. So on a 3, 4, 5, and 6, the boss shows. With that said, we'll go back into our questions with your 3 hit points. So you were talking about going back to Patreon. We had that in the video in the beginning. And Patreon, I mean, if you go look up YouTube videos on should I use Patreon, should I join it, how is it successful to use, it's a really different platform than I think most people actually understand. I know I myself am about ready to gut mine and redo it. You're redoing Patreon right now. What made you go back to it? Out of all the possible places you could go, from Itch to Spotify, not Spotify, but Shopify to an Etsy, what made you decide to land back at Patreon?
Well, I already had a fairly decent following of people that were subscribing to the Vast Grim website, where I was posting content, and basically every month I put out 4 new things, a mix of NPCs, creatures, classes, that sort of stuff, and also a location and now an adventure as well. Okay. And I was having it wasn't getting new people, right? The discoverability wasn't really there, except for people that were dialed into the Vast Grim stuff. And right now it's still a growing audience. And I realized that I could also do a Mork Borg one at the same time and release 2 different versions. They're very similar because they're based off the same stuff most of the time. Mm-hmm. But because, and then Luke from Limithron or Pirate Borg was like, you should go back to Patreon because they now have a free tier where people can follow and just give them something for free every month, and they'll get to keep getting your news and hearing what you're doing, and eventually they'll get to know me and they'll get to love me like everybody does.
Well, I mean, this group definitely likes to kill your character. So good. With that, you are rebranding the Patreon to kind of do it. How did you pick your price levels for this? Like, that's probably the one question I've heard the most when I'm doing consulting with people on building businesses and branding and websites. For things that are tier leveled like this, like, how are you price pointing it? How are you making sure you're hitting because I think yours is 5, 10, and 15 for the values. Right. How are you making sure you hit that value?
So I already kind of had this pricing in place before, so I kind of ported it over, and I didn't really want to shake it up too much. I know mine is higher than a lot of other people's.
Yeah, I mean a little, not really. Mine's pretty high too, actually.
Yeah. So there's certain things at the higher levels that I think people that like me and like what I'm making, between jumping from 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 isn't really going to matter to them. Mm-mm. They're there because they want to be there. It's not necessarily the thing that they're getting every month.
So what do you get in with the 20? Like, what is that? Like, are you getting like signed copies of a book? Are you getting like a one-on-one game session? Like, is it something that's costing your time, which is the thing we only have a finite amount of?
Right. The thing that's costing time is you're also getting an actual adventure along with the map and the VTT files, and then I also have a monthly hangout.
Oh, cool.
Where we just sit and we chat and we hang out, and we're people. I'm a real person. They're real people, and we get to know each other better. And I recently, before I was putting all the content on the back end of Vast Grim, I'm now doing it in Legend Keeper as well, in there instead, because as I'm creating more and more books, I need something because my brain can't find it in all the Google Docs. And hey, did you name somebody the same thing again? Because, your brain goes certain places regularly without thinking about it.
So what's Legend Keeper? I'm unfamiliar with that.
That is, so I've used like something like World Anvil before.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
It's like that, but it doesn't have nearly as many bells and whistles. So it's
clean.
It's a lot cleaner and easier for me to get my stuff in without being weighed down. Because before I was putting it in like a WordPress backend. Yeah. And there were a lot of things that it made it clunky. And I need my life to be easier because I'm trying to do so many things.
Too many things at once. Yeah, I feel you.
Right. So Legend Keeper has been great, and like, and I'm still back cataloging that stuff now because I just put up a video of me doing that, and I just started doing it like a week and a half ago. But it's a great way. If I ran a game in it, like using it, being able to quick search and backlink to stuff, it was super easy for me to reference stuff.
Jason in the chat says, "Wait, you're using Legend Keeper too? Damn it!"
Yes.
Is Legend Keeper allow you to export it into an easy way to update your website as well, or is it more just like a Does it give you like a CSV file? Like how does it function to make it easy to export?
You can do a full export as HTML or JSON.
Perfect.
So,
That's what I was on.
yeah.
That's awesome. JSON files for VTTs? Are you fucking kidding me?
So like I'm gonna do regular backups. Just you
Yeah.
never know when that's always one of my biggest things. If I'm not controlling where it's at, what happens if they get hit by a bus tomorrow?
Yeah, this is like an archive second brain for you then.
Right. Yeah.
I do mem for a lot of my second brain stuff and some Obsidian, but I got a little too annoyed with how much work Markdown is. I feel like I was producing less and archiving more.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's not what I want. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, but that's awesome. I've never heard of that. I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, totally
So-
check it out.
So with that, unfortunately, sir,
Oh, I'm dead again, aren't I?
you're so fucked. Behind you, the fog swells, and the smell of candles being put out can kind of fill the air. And as wax drips behind you, this gigantic, long-armed beast comes out of the fog. It raises its hand. Now, I have to read this description. This was made
Yes.
a few months ago. It is wild looking. It's made of wax, hair, and stone with hot embers for eyes. But it carries a black powdered weapon shoved through the head of a doll's face, or so you think it is. And the hair and sinew is woven through the arm of this wax creature as it raises it and levels it at you. Not only you, but the rest of the room. It does not seem to care who's there. With that said, this is the Fogstone boss. It's got a DR 14. Bosses
Yep.
are big cards. You don't get to take first action in this case because it is unfortunately a boss. It means we roll a D6 and use the traditional Mork Borg rules. Since it's your death, I'll let you roll if you get to go first.
All right. I got a 1.
Yay, I go. Can you please give me your agility roll as it takes a shot filling the room with black powdered smoke and buckshot?
Ah! I got a natural 20.
You get an action. You get an immediate free
hot
reaction.
diggity. All right,
It shoots,
free
you
reaction.
duck. What are you doing?
I'm ducking is to the north. What I'm seeing there, are those stores?
Yes, they are.
I'm getting out of here.
Okay, you run at the doors. Unfortunately, not only is running through the room dangerous, the door
course.
is locked.
Let me in!
And I love this because then some people love to argue that, oh, that's not true. That can't be true. There's no way that it's locked. Well, guess what? I have put door locks on them so you can see when they're locked. It is locked as you run into it. Give me a physical to get through the room in this circumstance.
Oops.
I don't know.
Nope, definitely not.
No,
Definitely not. Got
you
a 7.
smash against the door as it fires. The other ones all go. Unfortunately, that means I need 2 more agility rolls for you to dodge the Wicker Man and the dripped wax. Looking for a 12 and a 10.
I got an 11 first against the 12,
Okay.
and I got a 9 against the 10.
So 11, unfortunately, you need an armor roll against 7.
All right. All right, I soaked 1.
Okay, so you got 2 points left,
So,
right? You had 3?
yeah. No, didn't you say against 7?
Oh, 7. You only soaked. I thought you meant this somebody left you go down.
No, I
then.
soaked 1.
Oh, well, that means you're dead yet again here.
yeah.
We're going to bring your second death up on screen. Let's show the people what they have put into the raffle. We go to the second one. The first one is Vaskrim, and the second one is the Crawling Death. This is a great piece of art, and this brings
Thank
me
you.
into the sculpture stuff as well, because I'm assuming you sculpt this thing.
Yes, and that one's like a little different. Like a lot of the stuff for some of the interior of Vaskrim is like this, where I sculpted on board. A lot of the things I sculpt are full, like 3-dimensional creatures. This one I sculpted on board. I knew that this was going to like be the cover of this creature, so I did that on the board. Yeah.
Do you what is this about? What is this piece about that's getting entered in?
So this is actually an adventure in the Mork Borg world. It's an ever-shifting dungeon that's below the surface. It uses an old thing that I created, Cardography, one of the decks from that. You don't need the deck to play it because the cards are actually labeled in the book itself. So you roll a D10 and a D6 to determine
cool.
what room comes next.
Sure.
Because because the dungeon is always moving, it kind of, what room you go into next is different. There's a couple of different setups that are in the book. If you want to play,
cool.
there's 4 different adventure hooks. So if you want to play one, it says use these rooms, these rooms, and these rooms. There's factions, or you can play it as one giant campaign.
Oh, that's awesome. And how long ago did you make this? Is this newer?
That was
Was this your first love affair with Mork Borg? Like, well,
no, I did that after Vast Rim because I felt like I needed to do something that was Mork Borg because, you know, I'd already hacked it completely. I thought I should do something for it. That was probably about 2 years ago. It was my second crowdfunding on GameFound because we crowdfunded Vast Rim on GameFound. That was the very first RPG to ever crowdfund there. And then I did this just under my creature curation on there.
we are nearing the end of the show here. We go back to our quick questions.
Yeah.
If you want to look at the map here, I have moved your characters. The boss steps back into the fog with your body and throws you into one of the gigantic vats of blue wax. I'm going to show you what the wax workshop looks like. I'll put that on screen for you as well. As that is where we're going to be picking up after these rapid fire questions for you.
Yes.
So you should see over on the right, there's handouts. I'll put it on screen so everybody can see it.
Yeah.
We'll go back to that in just a minute. So we're doing rapid fire. Last one we did was Part of Your Funeral. You're the only one to get that right. And we have a prize for the person who gets the most of these right at the end of the season.
Awesome.
But we'll see how you do. So you got three of them. You missed one.
Yeah.
True or false? We already did that. My question would be, what is the best undead?
A lich?
Sir, you were so close. It's the demi-lich.
Can't win them all.
What is the best writing tool?
Just Google Docs. What'd you put?
Incorrect.
Oh yeah, don't want to give it away.
Incorrect. That is not the best writing tool. No, I'll give it away. No one goes to. I do these different orders every time. No, it is a fountain pen. That is the correct answer. It's the best writing tool.
See.
You can put anything in it to write with, at least for a little while.
Yep.
Even blood.
Yeah, of course.
What sea animal would you be? This is a hard.
I'd probably be a sea turtle of some sort.
Sea turtle. Unfortunately, you do live a long time. That is a very good question and a very bad answer. It's a shark. It's always a shark. Why would you not say shark?
Because I don't have that killer instinct.
Isn't shark the immediate answer for everybody?
Obviously not.
Sad. True or false? Is time travel real?
True.
That is correct. That's 2 hit points for you finally. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically speaking, you moved quite a few rooms. You got 3 more questions. 4 more questions you get to possibly get hit points. Coffee or tea? There's only one correct answer.
There is only one answer, and damn, it's coffee.
It is coffee. I know seeing chat's immediately going to say something. That's in there for her. True or false? Books to movies are great.
Sometimes.
That is the correct answer. Sometimes is right. Sometimes it is good.
Yeah, sometimes it's shit.
This is all. This one you better have the right answer for. You made Vasquez. True or false? Space exploration is still important.
Of course it is.
Good answer.
Even
Last
if it's
one.
by aliens and not by us.
I don't care who it is. Last
Right.
one. Last one. This is one of my favorite questions of all time. Also the hardest because what's the correct answer? Which TV family does your family have the most in common with?
Bob's Burgers.
Okay, what I wrote down for you was Bob's Burgers, so
No
I'm dead serious. For Chris, I put The Simpsons.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So you are correct. It is Bob's Burgers. You're coming back with a whole 6 hit points.
Whoa.
Whole 6 hit points. Look
That's
at you
crazy.
go.
Yeah.
You are still not going to survive this. I feel
No, certainly
no
not.
sympathy. Let's go back to the map for the audience to see. He is now in the Fog Wax Workshop. I'll read this little ditty at the bottom. The Fog Wax Workshop is a haunting domain of Fogstone, a monstrous entity that uses living beings in a gruesome ritual that immerses its victims in burning wax, their agonizing end, fueling the creation of the omnipotent present fog. This fog is not only fills the area, but also serves as a chilling network of gateways for the Fogstone to traverse. The air is heavy with the scent of hot wax and the eerie silence, broken only by the occasional echo of a distant, muffled scream. Beware, for the fog is just a barrier to sight, but in a sign of the Fogstone's horrifying presence. So with that, we're up here in this 2-story room. You are in a second story up. It's 20 foot in the air. You're in one of those containers of wax. What would you like to do? You can hear the creature moving around down below.
How is the container of wax suspended?
They are sitting on metal rack and stone shelving units, like think of like Home Depot.
Okay, yep.
And they're sitting on them. You can't tell they're bolted in because you're inside it. Thankfully, you don't breathe, but Rob's head still does.
Oh gosh. Okay, well the wax, because it's warmed, touching up against it, is it soft?
It's
is it something
soft. It's not hardened yet. You can feel that there is a thing tied and hooked under your arm on the back to pull you in and out and dip you.
Ugh. I want to try and get myself out of that.
Okay.
And if I manage to do that, then I want to try and push, like, well, I'm gonna have to set the whip down, hold the head, and just kind of carve a little bit out to kind of maybe slide it down the wax to get down to the lower level.
Well, thankfully, you have 2 severed hands on your belt. One of those can just hold your whip for you.
Okay, yes. And can the other one hold the head? And I can use
yes, if you want to. That means you don't
I'll...
have sight right now. It would have been a DV10, difficulty 10. It is now an 11 to get out. Every time you fail, it goes up 1 as you keep getting covered in wax.
Okay, well, we know I'm going to roll terribly.
You might.
But let's see.
You might. It's strength, though. At least it's strength. You're good at that.
Oh, I got an 18 unmodded, so yeah, I think I...
As you climb up onto the top and look out and down below, you can see he is sewing together a bunch of waxed people with pulling hair out and using a needle and using his own hair to sew people together.
Oh, nasty.
And he takes the heads off of each one of them and replace them with a wax sculpture. And inside that wax, there's some form of an odd, smoky fog liquid. You're guessing this is how he's moving so quickly through the dungeon. You still have a move to get out. You took your action to climb. How do you want to get out of this horrifying room before we do our last question?
To the south, is that a corridor heading? Is that a corridor?
Yes, it is corridor.
South?
As a matter of fact, that corridor is a door that looks like this right below it.
Okay. I'm going to try and see if I can slide down, like fire pole style, down the wax to get to that door and get out.
Are you going to be quiet about it?
I'm going to do my best, but wax is quiet. Like it's the.
It's also slippery as shit, my friend.
Yeah.
Are you being quiet and wanting to use agility, or are you being strong about it and climbing down? That's my question.
I'm being quiet and using agility, even though I know it's far worse.
DV 10 becomes an 11 because of the wax.
Yeah.
See what you get.
I got another natural 20.
You climb down behind the Fogstone boss in this room. You have a free action. How would you like to take it?
I'd like to take it to get out of this room.
You're going to run?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm running.
I will make it a DV10 instead of the 14 that he is, because he doesn't know you're there and you're running towards the door. Yeah. Give me a roll. No.
I rolled a 2. Yeah.
As you run by, the hand with the needle raises as he goes to stick you with it. I need an agility before I start sewing you into the creation that I'm making.
I rolled another 2.
Unfortunately, I need the audience to roll me a D8 and a D4 for damage as we go to our last question for the show here. So we talked a little bit about Vaskrim, the love of Mork Borg, kind of relighting, I think, for you, the idea of doing design work. And you've worked in other systems in the past. Is there something in the mechanics for Mork Borg that you feel you want to improve upon? Like, is there like a new mechanic, a new subsystem that you really want to add to Mork Borg?
So in the molt that is almost completely done and about to go to the printer, I added a magic system, and I added a new stat. I added focus, and the magic is it's more based on whatever creativity the player can come up with and spending PP or PowerPoints that they have each day to be able to do different things. Some like there's 4 main categories basically. Is
that something you're going to put out as a book on its own, or is it just staying in Molt?
I mean, that's in Molt, so I mean that it's in that book. But
I don't know if you're gonna pull
yeah.
it because, like, on the Mork Borg website, they keep
Right.
adding cool free pieces that come out. Like they have the tablets for the Jewish based casting system they came out with.
Right.
Have you thought about saying, "Hey"?
Oh yeah,
Like,
I
put
could
this on
probably
your
do
site?
that. Yeah, I mean, and just do it as like a free PDF.
Just so they can get the casting
Yeah.
part of it? That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
totally.
I know we use all the things on that site so frequently when we're building monsters from here because it's just great inspiration.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a huge, thriving community.
And it's a sexy-ass
third-party
website,
content. Yeah, totally.
So that's awesome. I think we'll talk a little bit about Molt off air here and record a separate special feature. But I do have a question about Molt for myself that I want to ask. Was this inspired by the whole Godzilla monsters in the center of the earth?
I could definitely see part of that weighing in. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Because I'm a huge
Now-
kaiju fan, and I read that and I was
Right.
like, oh my god, we're going to the center of Earth. We're all going to die.
Well, and like it's also like I had these creatures that I had sculpted for a different setting and reusing them and finding a way to work them into Mork Borg in a way that's not just like, hey, here's these new monsters to fight.
Sure.
I wanted them to be playable classes and also find ways to then like tie it into Vast Grim as well.
I mean, that makes total sense to me. I put your Patreon up for people to check it out again. Brian, this has been awesome. We'll have to come back and do this again for Molt when it comes out and like dive into it. Maybe we'll add one of the rooms. We can add a little monster from one of your things as one of the monsters in the game. We did that for Rob. He created something horrifying no one's found yet. I'm very scared to read it aloud on screen. So penile is what he called it. So I'm a little worried. I don't want to read it on screen. But with that, Brian, is there anything people should know that you have coming up or coming out besides the Patreon before we close out our show tonight?
I mean, I've always got projects in the works. I've got more Vast Grim projects that I'm currently working on, more books that I plan on doing. Just, BrianColin.com is the best way to find all of my stuff.
Any secret announcements you want to give for product coming out? Anything new for Vast Grim?
Well, I have one book that's completely done, which is that's been edited. Everything's like ready to go. That is called No Safe Haven, which is part of Marauder's Cryosphere, which is one of the areas, and it's got new classes, new factions, new areas. It's got an intergalactic wrestling federation in there. So.
I know some people who might be interested in that. Oh man, that is awesome. Wrestling is always fun. So with that said, unfortunately, I don't think you can soak the damage that was done. 8, 9, 10, 11. That is another kill, another death. We're at 3, and the same thing we ask every time. Do you want to put your 4th item in the treasure, or are you going to bring it back next time? You are way kinder than I would be. I tell these motherfuckers they can wait, but you are much nicer than I am. Creeps, thanks for joining us tonight. Brian, awesome to have you on, representing Vast Grim, representing everything you do at Creature Curations. Or Creations? I keep saying Creations.
It's Curation. It's a made-up word.
Yeah, Creations.
Yeah.
But it is awesome. Your sculpture stuff's awesome. People, you can watch him actually build his stuff live on his YouTube channel. He has a couple fast versions on his Patreon right now. I'm going to be running Vast Grim in the near future, so figured why not have the man on as a fellow brother of alchemy. I think that was the best thing we could do, and we got to kill him 3 times. Well,
yeah.
What's wrong with that, right?
Totally.
That's great. All right, everybody, we're going to take us out like we always do with our theme song. Let's get some Holy Roller on. And I'll do a little shout out. Wait, bye, Brian.
Later on.
Stay in the wings for me. Hey, everybody, thank you for watching Corpse Talk. If you're watching this after the fact, down below, ask any questions you want that I may have missed for this show. Because, you're smarter than me, right? Right. On this side, there's going to be a video to watch. On this one's going to be a subscribe. We're looking to hit that 500 milestone so we can do some awesome things. I hope you enjoyed Corpse Talk as much as I did. And we'll see you here in just a couple Fridays for our next interview. As always, stay dead, creeps.